So we're going to show you a live demo, show what it looks like to really achieve LAN performance even at WAN scale, is to operate on content that is remote without first making a copy. So to show you a little bit more about what's driving this demo, we have our two sites are AWS West and our data center on the east coast of the US. So we have a direct connect connecting to our wave, dropping into the data center. You'll see two computers on my screen in just a moment. One has a gray wallpaper. It's Windows 10 VM and AWS. It's called the traditional method is what the wallpaper says, and it's just a mapped network drive across the network to a share in our data center on the East Coast. Nothing revolutionary. The second computer has a kind of a brightly colored wallpaper, and it also has a mapped network drive across the country to the same share on the East Coast. The only difference is we're using the Vcinity nodes as mount points to that remote data. We'll get more into that in just a bit, but just know that that's the only difference. All the plumbing is the same. The local area network's the wide area network. Now we do have our Vcinity tunnel configured at 1 gigabit per second for this demo, and the latency, as you see, is roughly 60 milliseconds round trip. So let me bring up those screens. We'll get into the demo. All right, so here's our two computers. Again, the traditional method, just for a simple drawing, compute in the west, data in the east, direct mapping. Vcinity method, still compute in the west, still data in the east. We're now using our Vcinity node as an access to that remote data set. This first application is called OpenDetect. We're going to be looking at some seismic survey data. So what you see here is where it says elements, all of these elements under here make up about 12 gigabytes. The legacy workflow would be to copy all this data to my local system, use what I need, discard the rest, create my work product, and then send it back. But instead, what we're going to do is open just the data that we want. So we're going to point and click, open the remote data without making a copy, and observe the difference. So we're going to load the horizon data, which is about 4 gigabytes. You'll notice it takes about 2 or 3 seconds to bring up this window where we can even select the data that we want. I'm going to hit select all, and we're going to have to come back to that because even working with just the metadata at a distance really is counterproductive. We're going to do the same thing using Vcinity. Right away I get my pop-up. I hit the check mark, and right away I get my checks. I hit OK, and immediately I have data start loading into my visualizer. Now this again is without making a local copy. The data still lives in our data center on the East Coast. So at this point, I now have the ability to work, move around, create my work product. If I wanted to bring in additional layers, I could do that. Over on this side, we're still waiting for our check marks. Eventually they come in, but it takes quite a while. And then loading the data itself takes several more minutes. So in this application space, we would also liken this to CAD and engineering type drawings. Oh, look, check marks. I'll hit OK. So there's a lot of data types and application types that are relevant to this type of a demo.